The Export Market Development Grant, or EMDG, is particularly important to review because it helps you protect your intellectual property and to scale up to address global markets. You'll need to spend at least $15,000 trying to open a new market. You'll need to keep lots of records of costs that you incur and how you apportion them correctly. Once you apportion costs accordingly, you can apply for a refund of up to $150,000. You can apply 8 times over time. You can include things like site visits, overseas representation, samples, trade fairs, promotions, advertising, etc. Overseas representation could allow you to put someone on the ground that's local to help you open up that market. Also very interesting is that it covers the registration and insurance of eligible intellectual property, which is a real boost, as this alone could be very costly without this assistance. To identify specialised one-off grants, you can use various search engines. Writing the application for the grant can be onerous if you don't have experience with them. The art is knowing how to adequately meet the criteria in a way that is appealing to the government organiser. Get help applying for these. Let's have a discussion about what you do and who would be best to help you. This way you can give yourself the best chance of being selected. The R&D tax incentive is designed to accelerate innovation and is fantastic for maximising your R&D dollar. You're going to be investing in developing something, and the more you get done, the better. So making the most of your R&D tax claim is essential. The R&D tax incentive is available to any business spending at least $20,000 on research and development. $20,000 in research and development includes everything from your management time to the staff that are doing the R&D, which you track using timesheets. Also, an apportionment of rent, parts, depreciation, etc. You can claim up to 43% tax offset. Therefore, you can spend more on R&D, or you can use it to help with cash flow. R&D is only eligible if it meets the legislative definition, which requires that the R&D create new knowledge, and that an expert in the field cannot predetermine the outcome of the research. To substantiate your R&D tax claim, it's essential to keep all the required records, so you can prove the necessary steps were all performed. It's one thing to do the R&D, but you won't be able to claim it fully without risk if you don't keep the records. It's best to obtain guidance on how to do the record keeping so that you start off on a sure footing. Make the most of this generous incentive. Get help to become compliant by improving your systems and documentation, and therefore maximising the benefits. So what is eligible R&D? It's R&D that generates new knowledge, which means you need to show that the R&D that you're planning is going to give you knowledge that you cannot find anywhere on the planet within your ability to access the planet's knowledge base. The new knowledge could be something that you need to know to get your product developed, but you may know there's a product that does something you think you can do better, but you cannot access that knowledge of how the competitor's product works. The fact that you can't access that knowledge means it's new knowledge to you, making it eligible. Over the last few years, software R&D has come under in-depth scrutiny, mainly because software companies weren't keeping sufficient records. Unfortunately, they have been heavily audited over the last 3 years, but they're getting on top of things now that people like me are helping them get their record keeping under control. To be doing R&D, you need to be taking manageable risk, improving products or business processes. Keep in mind that any time you are generating new know-how, you are probably doing R&D, so why not claim it? We need to talk about what you're doing to see what we can substantiate as R&D.